Philadelphia Eagles go into Tampa Bay, into the pirate ship, a Monday night, inside postseason bracket playoff battles. It doesn't get much better than that. Monday Night Football during the playoffs, nice. Philly goes in. They do a number at Tampa Bay to an injured, to a damaged Philadelphia, to a Tampa Bay team, especially that of Mayfield, who has a bad ankle now, a bruised rib, can't throw the ball 20 yards of air, can't stretch it, couldn't do it last week, can't do it this week, didn't do it during practice, and is going to have a hard time with what I expect Philly to do to Tampa Bay, and that's put a ton of pressure on Mayfield, and they're capable of doing that with the right defensive calls. This game's going to be over early, and by the end, Mayfield will be talking about negotiating his contract for next year, which I expect him to get through Tampa Bay. He had a great season. Kudos go to Mayfield. And what we also expect to happen, that is for Philadelphia to move on and have a divisional round game against San Fran, a chance to revenge that loss during the regular season. So the NFC champions entered Week 13 10-1 record. 10-1. This Philly troop had won 5 in a row. They'd beaten the Bills 37-34 to make it 5 in a row. 37-34. That was the final that required a sudden death extra period. You go back to Week 9. The Eagles had won 28-23 over division rival Dallas. A Week 10 bye. 2 weeks to prepare for Kansas City, where they revenged last February's Super Sunday loss by defeating Mahomes and the other brother Kelsey at Arrowhead. The Eagles are 10-1 on December 3rd with a home date against the Niners that didn't go well. Granted, that didn't go well. They lose by 23, and that loss did do some damage to their confidence, to their head, should I say. And it did some damage to the faithful. They're faithful as well. They started calling this Philadelphia team traitors, and that they were executing a counterfeit operation, that the season wasn't real, et cetera, et cetera. Typical Philly fan talk, but talk that typically inspires also athletes to do better. And I expect this Philadelphia team to be much, much better on Monday night against, again, a damaged and crippled Tampa Bay offense. For the most part, in the second half of the season, things didn't go well defensively. If you look at the metrics and some of the numbers for this Eagles defense, they ranked 32nd at 2 or 3 variables that are pretty important. They're winning variables. Either you win these variables and you win games, or you lose these variables like they did and you lose games. That happened. They had negative regression because in the first half of the season, the 10-1 run they really weren't 10-1, guys. They weren't 10-1. They didn't have the numbers to reflect such. They lost box scores on a weekly basis. They were outgained in yards, and they weren't winning time of possession either. So negative regression was inevitable. Now, positive regression is inevitable. It's got to come back. They can't get worse. They can only get better because that's how bad they were playing or performing, and that's how many bad bounces they had as well. So, I mean, there was a time and space, if you remember, when the Bills were dust. They were 5-5. They had a tough as F schedule ahead of them to close out the regular season. Many sharp guys I know did the same thing I did, and they bet Buffalo not to make the playoffs. We lost that future, in-season future. So after the Eagles won 10 or 11 games, that loss coming to the Jets, by the way, guys, the Jets, I think that what Coach Sirianni did was perfect. He fixed them from within inside. Matt Pat going to the DC position, and Sean moving down into the assistant role. Brian Johnson's got to do a better job offensively. He's made some bad calls. He's cut a lot of grief too. He admitted to him, said he was wrong. He's got to do better. I agree. Everything's coming together for this Philadelphia team. As hard as that is to believe, after losing to the Giants the way they did, giving up 21 second quarter points, it's getting better. It can't do anything but get better. That stretch of winning 5 out of 6 for Tampa, their opponents during that 5 out of 6, Carolina twice, Atlanta, New Orleans, Jacksonville, Green Bay. The Eagles losing 5 out of 6, their 6 opponents, San Fran, Seattle, Dallas, Arizona, Giants twice, tougher schedule. Philadelphia's defective defense, a near dead defense, which still didn't concern me coming into this game against Tampa. Even if Mayfield wasn't hurt, I'm still on the Eagles. Not as strong as I am, because that's the opinion I have of this Tampa Bay team. this Tampa Bay defense. Philadelphia over Tampa Bay in Tampa by the pirate ship by margin. Philadelphia Eagles win easy peasy. I'm Tony Finn. See you next week.